Hello, it's Elaine from Penguin Place Crafts. I'm here wide awake and well rested and not feeling quite as sore and achy and dehydrated and all that I was last night. So that's why I did not make my recap video last night. I needed a good night's sleep to recover and be able to present everything nicely. Yes. So, I had my alarm set for 6. I woke up at 5:30. It's like, I can't get back to sleep. I've got to go to a show. I somehow, even with the extra half hour, I ended up leaving later than I wanted to. It was about a 20-mile drive, but it's on unfamiliar roads. When you're driving on unfamiliar roads, it seems like it takes twice as long. With my chronic IBS issues, I like to know if I have to make an emergency stop, where is the nearest public restroom? Like, is there a Tim Hortons I can run into? Is there a grocery store I can run into? In this case, I'm driving along and I don't know what's around. I have no idea where I would go to the nearest place. So that makes it a little more stressful to drive into an area that I'm not familiar with. But I got there and there was someone parked in my space. Excuse me, this is my space. I need to unload and get set up here. Oh yeah, I'm leaving. And then she turns around, she keeps talking to someone. Get out of my space. Sat there. A couple minutes later, she pulls out so I could pull up and unload my car. And it was starting to rain a bit. Just the teasing, just a drop here, a drop there. Okay. I know they say, unload your car, don't start setting up. Move your car before you start setting up. Well, if I'm unloading all of my plushies, I want them under the tent if it's raining. I don't want to just leave them out on the sidewalk and set up the tent after I go move my car and all that. So I started to set up my tent. And my tent was broken. The last 3 shows that I've done, one leg of the tent, when you pull the tent legs up and you got that little silver button that pops out of the hole, the spring in one leg was broken so that leg would not stay up unless you found a stick or a pen cap or something like that to poke into the hole. Well, now all 4 legs of the tent are suffering from the same spring problem. So I'm walking around. When I went to move my car, we got the tent opened just enough that we could slide stuff under it, but we couldn't put the legs up yet. So when I went and moved the car, I'd be like collecting sticks. Got back, got the legs put up, with sticks coming out of it. During the course of the show, there's this one little kid like, look at, don't pull that out, don't. If you pull that out, that whole leg's gonna go. Yep, leave it alone. It's there for a reason. So before my next show in July, I either have to get a new tent or have my husband come up with little wooden dowels or screws or something that will fit nicely into that hole and keep the tent legs up. Yeah. Okay. Show started at 9. I was still fine-tuning things here and there. I was putting price tags on things because there were a lot of things that I made in recent weeks that I didn't get price tags on yet. So around 9:30, a young lady with a young man behind her come walking in. She's looking and stuff. She goes, "Oh, it's too bad you don't have any dinosaurs." Right there. Bed right there. Oh, look at him. And she pulled out the two brontosauruses that I just made like last week. Oh, I have to have this one. Which one did she get? She got the purple one. And she just turned around. Oh, I have to get this one. And she turned around to the young man behind her and just gave one of those please looks, and he pulled out his wallet, paid the $12. That was at 9:35. It was almost 2.5 hours later before my next sale. So 11:52, a family came in, and I think it was mom, grandma, and 3 kids. And grandma said each of the kids can pick out one thing. And they got one of my little chicks in a swing. I'm not sure if I have a picture of that still. And the chick in a frog hat. That one was so cute. And the pink dragon that I made from Genna's No-Sew Amigurumi book. So, yay! I said to the grandma who paid, I said, thank you very much. I said, you're only my second sale of the day, but at least now my tent is paid. This is paid for. Thank you for the encouragement. I needed that. But then after that, it's just like boom, 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 boom. Most of the rest of my sales came within the next hour. It was just one after another from 11:52 to 2:05. There were sales like every few minutes. Well, not every few minutes. Like 11:52 to 12:03. A little girl got a flamingo. And then very shortly after that, I didn't write the time down because it was so busy right then. Somebody bought one of my Glam Chicks. Yay! I think it's the Glam Chick that I made at the spring craft show at Depew. It was a purple or blue chick with black hair. Okay? And then Sunny the turtle. The African flower turtle that had a yellow head and yellow flippers. Sunny sold. So then, a few minutes later, somebody bought a little pink bunny that I'd made from a kit, either from Amazon or Temu. Like, okay, I've had that for a while. That's good that that sold. And then I sold another chicken in a basket. Those are popular. If you have a little chicken with a little basket thing. I sold 2 of the 4 that I had with me, and they got a lot of attention during the day. Okay. Oh, then around 12:30. This was one of my favorite sales of the day. Right behind me, the person who had blocked my space at the beginning was a dog rescue. And they brought in the set of playpens and put all this stuff in there and had, someone said 17 puppies in little corrals on the grass right behind me. There was a lot of noise. 17 puppies. Occasionally, they gotta go. So there were a few times when it was like, ooh. So there was smell. There's noise and smell involved. And another factor was kids be, oh, look at this. Then the parents were like, come on, let's go look at the puppies. So parents were pulling kids away from my table to go see the puppies. But this lady was heading towards the puppies, and she looks, I had a bin of my monsters on the end of the table, and she picks up one of my Mr. Uglies, the one I call Sil, because I used a silver ribbon yarn to do the dreads. And she's like, oh, look at this. This is how much is this? I said, $12. She goes, are you sure? Yeah, $12. No, it's got to be more than that. I said, no. Those I make with scrap yarn, and I'm holding it double so they work up quickly. So it's using up my scrap yarn. And I just like making them. So I make them for $12 so they sell quickly and then I can make more. And she's like, sold. And she's just holding it. She's like, do you see the resemblance? She had like a silver blonde hair and it's got, and she see the resemblance? And she says, I love this. I'm going to play with this. Like, yay. Things like that. You know, even if the show isn't all that good, looking back on memories like that, that's fun. Bum, 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 bum. I also had a full-size tote that was maybe half full with a sign on it that said $8 or 2 for $15. At other shows, that has just been, people love to root through it and find their treasures. I've made lots of sales out of that. One sale out of that. And there were probably 5 or 6 people who spent considerable time going through the tote and just... They said, do you have any pickles? I said, oh, I left my pickle jar at home. Well, I didn't realize it, but I tossed one pickle into the $8 bin. So she found a pickle, and she got her pickle, and she was so happy. Then, around 1:06, I sold the other Bronto. Both of them that I just made last week are gone. I'm going to have to make more. They're fun to make. The next time I make one, I need to measure exactly, like weigh the yarn beforehand and after, see exactly how much worsted weight it makes. Because for my next show, West Seneca, the West Seneca Kiwanis show, it's an outdoor show, very well attended. I've done well there before. But I think if I had like a little marching thing of these Brontos, yeah, I'd probably sell a bunch of them. So then there was a little girl, maybe 6 years old. She picked up a squishy turtle. He was $14. And I don't know if it was her dad or her grandpa. There was an older man with her. And he's like, oh, no, sorry, you got to keep it to $10. And she's looking around. And I said, okay. Well, there's a turtle. That turtle there is $10. Now, they weren't squishy turtles. This is made with blanket yarn. I think it was blanket yarn from Lori. She wanted that squishy turtle. And I said, well, there's a $5 bin over here. You'd be able to get 2 things from there. She looked, I want the turtle. And there was another squishy turtle that was only $12. She ended up getting that. And she was just hugging it. It's like, okay, she's happy now. We, you know, Dad or Grandpa ended up paying $2 more than he wanted to, but everybody's happy. And then there was somebody who wanted a turtle and directed them to the, like, oh, I only have $6, but I want a turtle. And I'm like, I have these 2, and they're in the $5 bin. They were little guys. They were these little turtles. And they're very happy to get a little squishy green turtle for $5. And then somebody came along. Turtles seem to be very quick. I sold 1, 2, 3, 4 turtles, but they were 4 different patterns and 4 different price points. So turtles went well. I had a little turtle that I made from scrap yarn. I think it was another project from the Lori bag that was in sort of earth tones, and then I finished it off with blue. Where's that? Turn this guy sideways. I finished it off with blue from the skein. That's a surprise. I'll show you in a minute. So that sold. Little land turtle for $12. And, you know, it was getting close. It was 2:26. The show ended at 3. So I figured, nobody's going to come in these last minutes. And I started to pack up. And in a few minutes, like 3:03, this little girl comes by. And she goes, well, you only have $6. And I had just packed up my $5 bin. I said, oh, here, this bin is $5. You could get anything out of this bin. And she bought the little pink football that I just made. So I sold a total of 16 items for $188. Show fee was $40. So I was there from 9 to 3 for $148 profit. That ended up being show 38 out of 148. Yes. So 38 out of 148. Given the overall show average, what is the overall show average? The average went down with the last show back in May, where I had a negative 32 balance at the end. Average show is 103.29 net, and this netted 148. So a little bit over average. I'd really been hoping for more. It just seemed like a lot of effort for an average show. Next one, West Seneca. Unless the weather is really bad, that one should be a good show. So since I was sitting there for a couple of hours with no customers, I had taken the scrap box with me. And while I was sitting there, I made all the pieces for my April monster. I finished off this variegated, this was a hobby yarn, Hobby Fantasy. Can't remember what number it was. But I made the head, I made the arms and the horns and the eyebrows and the legs. When I got to the last leg, I think it was this one, I had less than 2 inches of yarn left. So fortunately, like you make the head as a box with a bottom flap. When I sewed up the bottom flap, I had left myself enough of a yarn end that I could sew the leg on too. So when I got home, oops, sorry, I hit my cord. When I got home and I'm just sitting in my chair, like with my feet up in the recliner, like, I don't want to move. I'm not going out anywhere. I'm just sitting here. I need to recover. My feet hurt. I sewed on the eyebrows, sewed them all together, made a smiley face, and finished up this monster. But wait, there's more. There was also some purple yarn in the scrap box. I had very limited patterns with me. I think I only took like 3 patterns. I took my April monster. I took my airplane pattern. But the airplane pattern, I need to weigh out the yarn and make sure I've got enough of each color to do it. So I just started to freehand a chicken. Since I sold 2 chickens in baskets, let's freehand a chicken and then make a basket to put it in. Well, in my craft bag from my last show, I had put in some variegated yarns. So I finished up the chicken after I got home. I got it done up to about this part of the head. So I just had to put the eyes in, the beak, finish off the head, and put on the comb. I found this yarn, and this is what I'm going to make the basket in. A variegated that is blue, purple, and shades of pink. So I think that'll be a cute basket for this chicken. So there's what the scrap bin is, the scrap box is looking like now. I added, besides this one, 2 more variegated yarns, and I had finished off 2 yarns. So it's like the box that never ends. Were there any other stories? Oh, it was windy. You know, I told you I bought myself a fan at Dollar Tree so I could fan myself during the show. I didn't need to. There's plenty of wind to cool me off. Some of the vendors had stuff blowing over, and there was one lady who was selling like cookie jars that she has decorated with, I don't know if it was vinyl or stencils or what, but she actually had a heavy glass jar blow off her table and shatter. And a Tupperware lady, her Tupperware blew off the table, and some of the Tupperware broke. It's pretty hard to break Tupperware. So I'm grateful that very few things blew off my table. I had a different setup. Oh, why don't I stop here and put in the video of just the little walk around. I had it on as a short, but I'll put it in here. And just take note that I had the 2 tables together. Down here at the end, I put my wire grid, and back behind it, I put the crates back to back so that it'd be harder for them to blow off the table. So, insert video. I'm back. Okay, were there any other stories to tell you? Now you saw how the video was set up, how the tables were set up. One thing that bugged me, some kid pulled the shoes off one of the Glam Chicks, and I went around to do something at the front of my table, and I look, and there's a Barbie shoe on the table. I'm like, where'd that come? And I look up and I see a barefoot Glam Chick. And there was a customer standing right next to me. I'm like, somebody pulled the shoes off this chicken. And there's only one here. And she looks and she finds the other one on the ground. So that I had to go back and like use a small crochet hook to pull the foot of the chicken into the shoe. I need to pull that out and apply a little bit of glue so that does not happen again. But I'm just like, parents, where were you when your child pulled the shoes off my chicken? Why did you not say, oh, I'm sorry, my child did this, I hope you can fix it? No, just leaving it there, that's rude. So that was a point of the show. But all in all, it went pretty well. I was tired and hot and dehydrated at the end. My first stop was at Tim Hortons. I wanted to get my strawberry coconut refresher, but they have replaced that with different flavors. So I got a mango refresher, and it just wasn't the same. I don't like it as much. And then I quaffed down like this, what are those, like 20 ounces maybe? I quaffed that down. I got to my daughter's house. My daughter's house was only like 10 minutes down the road. And I refilled the cup. There's still ice in there and little bits of mango floating around. Refilled the cup from her tap. Half-hour drive home. I filled the cup up again. Added some electrolyte drops and drank that down. So I was pretty dehydrated. And it was a hot ride in the car on the way home. As I was leaving my daughter's house, I was like, why isn't the air? I feel like there's no cold air coming here. and I adjusted the vents. My husband must have been driving my car, and he pushes the vents up so that the air doesn't hit him in the face. I want the air to hit me in the face. I want to be cooled off. So I got the vents adjusted to my liking. It's like, that's not cold air. My AC must be broken again. We just got it. We just spent so much getting it fixed last year. And then I look over at the dial, and you've got like red hot, blue cold. It was up at the top between the two. So the AC was on, but the temperature gauge was saying not really cold. So I was like, cold. Give me cold air. And then it was working just fine. Yeah, it was sort of a comedy of errors day. But I got through, and I made enough to cover the previous day's garage sale excursion and the table fee with a little extra to boot, little extra to help reduce the penguin debt. So didn't get out of the red yet, but it's coming. I'll get there eventually. Couple good shows in July, and I should be in the black again until I pay for like 10 fall shows. Okay, I need to go change into my play clothes and get started on dinner and play with yarn. First, I'll finish up the basket for this chicken. So, see ya.